In a small village nestled near a river in the countryside, there lived a very fat girl, a cheerful but dirty young woman named Sugar. Sugar was the talk of the town because of her dirty and smelling body. Aside from her dirty and smelly body, she had a bright smile, a hearty laugh, and a big heart to accommodate, but the smell that comes out from her body has blinded people from seeing the good part of her. People always avoid her and run far from her because of the smell. Sugar never had friends around her because all the young girls and boys avoided her because of the odor. As she grew older, Sugar's family eagerly awaited the day when a suitable suitor would come and ask for her hand in marriage. How would this be possible? When every mother in the village has warned their sons never to look her way because of the way she smells. They believe Sugar would bring shame and disgrace to their homes. Sugar was funny, talented, and brought laughter only to her family because they were the only ones who showed her true meaning of love. The only suitors Sugar got was young men from the neighboring village who didn't know about her odor, and whenever they came close to her they perceived the smell and it wasn't funny at all. At the end they would leave. Most times before the suitors could reach Sugar's home to ask for her hand in marriage, the villagers would tell the suitors to come marry their own daughter, haven't they heard about the odor that comes from her body? And the suitors would either marry their own daughter or go back to their villages. But each time something peculiar kept happening. Every time someone came courting Sugar, the young men would arrive at her home, excited and dressed in their best, often with flowers or gifts in hand. They talk to her, listen to her stories, laugh with her, and even dream about a life with her. Yet, after a few visits, they'd disappear without a word, leaving Sugar heartbroken and confused. Sugar herself was deeply puzzled. She couldn't believe what was happening to her, but her laziness wouldn't allow her to take care of herself. One day, feeling desperate, she went to the wise village herbalist, a wrinkled old woman named Mama Nkechi. Mama Nkechi, Sugar said, her voice trembling, I don't know why all my suitors keep leaving. I try so hard, but they disappear every time without a word. I think something might be wrong with me. Mama Nkechi squinted her wise old eyes at Sugar and waved her to sit down. She listened to Sugar's story, nodding slowly. Then she asked, Sugar my dear, have you noticed any strange smell following you? Sugar felt her face flush. She hesitated, then finally admitted, yes, sometimes, even though I wash and scrub, there's this smell I can't seem to get rid of. It's embarrassing. Mama Nkechi reached into her many jars and pulled out an assortment of leaves, roots, and oils. Try using these, she said, mixing a fragrant potion. And make sure to follow this exactly as I say. Sugar went home, determined to follow the herbalist's instructions. For weeks, she used the mixture, followed the herbalist's advice to a T, and kept herself as clean as possible. And for a while, it seemed like things were improving. The next suitor to visit her, Chidi, was a handsome, hardworking man from the neighboring village. He was instantly smitten with Sugar's charm, and the two spent hours laughing and enjoying each other's company. Sugar's heart leapt with hope. But as the days went by, a familiar anxiety crept over Sugar. She couldn't help but notice Chidi's expression change slightly every time he got close to her. His smile would waver, his eyes would dart around, and soon, he started making excuses. He had work to do or family matters to attend to, and before long, he too stopped visiting. Sugar's heartbreak returned tenfold. She sat by the river one evening, watching the sun set, tears filling her eyes. She thought of all the things she had done to make herself presentable. Why can't I be loved? She whispered, feeling defeated. A gentle voice spoke up behind her. It was her younger sister, Neka, who had noticed Sugar's sadness. Neka sat down beside her and put a comforting arm around her. Sugar, you're a wonderful person. The right person will see that in you. But Sugar wasn't so sure. She had lost hope and felt like a burden on her family. Over time, the laughter that had once filled her days grew faint. She avoided social gatherings, kept to herself, and even her delicious pastries lost their sweetness. Her family and friends tried to cheer her up, but it was clear that Sugar's spirit had dimmed. Yet, amid her pain, a transformation began to take root. Sugar decided that if the world wouldn't accept her as she was, she would learn to accept herself. She took to her crafts, sewing beautiful clothes, tending to her garden, and even teaching children how to bake. Soon, Sugar's small home became a place of warmth and joy once more, though this time, the joy came from within her heart and not from the approval of others. One stormy night, there was a knock on her door. She opened it to find a traveler, drenched from the rain, looking for shelter. He introduced himself as Emeka, a wanderer who'd been on the road for days. Sugar welcomed him in, gave him warm food, dry clothes, and a place to rest. Over the next few days, Emeka and Sugar talked, laughed, and shared stories of their lives. Emeka admired Sugar's strength and kindness, and Sugar found herself laughing freely again. Emeka didn't seem bothered by the same things that had scared others away. He valued Sugar for her heart, her warmth, and her strength. Before he left, he asked her, "Would you like to join me on my journey?" With newfound courage, Sugar agreed. She realized that happiness didn't depend on pleasing everyone or fitting into some ideal. It came from loving herself and finding someone who valued her for who she was. And so, hand in hand, Sugar and Emeka set off, facing the world together. Her story became one of hope, not tragedy, as she found joy in accepting herself and in being accepted by someone who loved her unconditionally. In the end, Sugar learned that true love sees beyond flaws, and that happiness is found in the acceptance of oneself.